Hello, quilt artisans. My name is Shonda, and welcome to my channel, Under the Needle Quilting and Crafts. So I am here for Thankful Thursday, even though it's on a Friday. I did initially record this video yesterday on Thursday, but I had to pick up my daughter from work, and I thought she was going to get off at around 10:15, so I started filming the video around 9:15, and of course, I was like 5 minutes in, and she called, and she was ready to be picked up. And so then I started rushing to try to finish the video quickly so I could go pick her up. And then that kind of led to me being a bit all over the place. And so I just kind of wanted to redo it because I felt like that would be better than just me being just completely all over the place. I do want to say that the title of this video is not clickbait. I literally had probably the 7 worst days of my life, the second worst days of my life. So not the 7 worst days of my life, but the second 7 worst days of my life. And comparatively, compared to other people, I understand that a lot of people have it much worse. You guys have told me some of your struggles in the comments, and a lot of you are going through things way worse than what I am, and I am understanding and appreciative of that. But just so I don't trauma dump on everybody, I'll start with what I've been working on, and then I'll move on to my personal stuff for those of you that want to hang around for that, okay? So, what have I been working on? Not a whole lot, because it's been rough. And I think my last video was on Saturday, and if you saw that video, you know I had already been going through some stuff, and it got worse after that. So, I haven't had a lot of opportunity to work on much. I did have a little trip, and I had brought my crochet with me thinking I would get a chance to work on it. But because of the way things happened, which I'll get into later, I didn't get much time to do that. Actually, I didn't get any time to do that. So I'm still working on this thing here. I have not made much progress with it, but here it is. It's, I think I might have done 1 row on this since my last update, if that. I did do a little bit of sewing, believe it or not. I had this quilt I was working on called Cocoa Nibs. This is one of my old projects, one of my whips. I think I might have started this in 2021, maybe. I think so. 2021 sounds right. And I got pretty frustrated with the pattern, so I put it down. But I picked it back up, and so I need to make a bunch of these units here so that I can finish making my block. These are blocks made up of 3 different units. This is 1 unit. And so I need to make 72 of these. I have maybe a third of them done. But the final block will look like this. So there are 9 units in here. So here's one of the units. It has 2 prints. And then here's one of the units that has a print and a background. And then there's this unit, which is also a print and a background, but in reverse. So that's what I'm working on. So at least I did get to do some sewing. A little bit, but some. I'm hoping to get some more done tomorrow or this weekend. I'm really hoping to get some more done this weekend. That would be nice. I did finally get to wear my hat because I took all of the fake hair out so I can fit the hat. It does fit around here. It could stand to be a little tighter. For me, because my gauge was off, my brim is too wide. I kind of wish that this hat came down a little bit further. So I would have preferred for this brim to be shorter, but it's not because of me, and that's my fault. And this wide, doing it like this looks ridiculous, and plus it hides the mosaic. And that's the best part, is all the work that went into making the mosaic. So you kind of want to showcase that. I could double brim it, but it just looks way too chunky like that. I don't like it like that. So instead, I just wear it more That's how I'll be wearing mine. I'll be wearing it more slouchy. But I kind of wish it I had done this better if I had used a smaller hook maybe, so that this hat would actually stand up like this, and that way you could really see all that pretty mosaic. But it's fine. I like it. I have been following along with the Just Get It Done Declutter Challenge. Day one was basically taking out the trash, which was great. The way she did it was, I think it was like 20 minutes at a time, and she tried to find 15 items, or maybe vice versa. Might have been 15 minutes, and she tries to find 20 items. And you're basically taking out the garbage, the stuff that doesn't belong here. Papers that don't belong here, just anything that doesn't belong. You're not trying to organize anything right now. You're not trying to put things away. You're not trying to find a place for anything. You're literally just getting the garbage out. That is it. Not even just things that aren't garbage but don't belong. Just literal trash. Things that you need to throw away that you just haven't. And so that was fun, and that was easy. That was a nice, easy day one. Day two was Does It Belong? So day two is taking things out that don't belong in the space. Like if they belong in your kitchen or your bedroom or your bathroom or somewhere else, get it out. So that was also easy, not bad. And she recommended doing that in like 30-minute intervals. So that was I liked that. That was a good time. Today is day three. So today, day three, we are doing two things. One, we are looking at our subscriptions, like our magazine subscriptions, things that are coming to our house monthly. Now for me, that is just the Open Gate Quilt subscription box and the Sew Sampler. Those are my only two subs. So I don't have to worry about that. But I do have like a lot of magazines that I purchased that maybe it's time for them to go. You know, maybe it's time for those magazines to get the heck up out of here. I have patterns that I've not printed, but like ripped out from magazines. And maybe it's time for some of that stuff to go if I'm not realistically going to go back and make those patterns. I don't think I've made a single pattern. I only made one pattern from a magazine that I bought, and that was because I went to a quilting class. It was an actual class, and the person who wrote the pattern was teaching the class, and the pattern was in the magazine, and so we had to purchase the magazine to get the pattern for the class. Okay, but other than that, I have not made a quilt from any magazine that I purchased, so maybe it's time for them to go. And then she also recommends looking at your email subscriptions, and this is something that I have like actively been doing already, is getting rid of some of these emails, like these email subscriptions that I'm getting all the time. The newsletters, or just, you know, people trying to sell me their stuff, and just to kind of get rid of some of that stuff. So that's day three. So I'm looking forward to day three. It's been nice. You know, it's kind of like an easy way to get into this thing, right? So I've been enjoying the declutter challenge. So that's really all I've been up to as far as my crafty life. I did hop up on a great sale at Joann, and I bought a bunch of yarn that I did not need. I haven't even taken out of the box yet. But I also gathered together some stuff I need to return, and that's in my car, and that was something that I did for yesterday. So that's been going well. That's all. My crafty life has been great. My actual life, not so much. So for those of you who don't want to hear about all of my crap, you can leave the video now. So basically, I had told you guys that my Christmas was not great. My Christmas day was horrible. I did not get into the specifics of my Christmas day because it's deeply personal. And although I talk about personal things on this channel, that was just a bridge too far for me. But Christmas day was horrible, right? But I was looking forward to going to see a show on Saturday because I got my stepdaughter tickets to see the musical Hamilton in Greensboro. Greensboro is about an hour and a half ride from my house. So the plan was on Friday, we were going to go, we were going to get her hair done. And then Saturday, we were going to get up and we were going to leave maybe about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning to make that ride to Greensboro. you know, get some lunch on the way, check into the hotel, hang out for a little bit, get some dinner, and then the show starts at 8. That was the plan. But the hair that I ordered for her did not come from Amazon in time. And I was like, crap, But I had some backup hair that could work in a pinch. And so I went to the hair appointment anyway. I took her and we got there, and the lady was like, this really isn't going to work. And I was like, well, while we were sitting here, the hair had been delivered. And she was like, it's fine. I don't have an appointment in the morning. You can come back in the morning and we can do it then. And I'm like, great. So Saturday morning, we get up, we're at her house, 9 a.m. to get her hair done. And the way this hairstyle works is that all of your natural hair gets cornrowed first, right? That means we're just braiding it to the scalp, right? For those braids that are attached to the scalp. Think Bo Derek in 10, right? So that's the goal, to cornrow the whole head. And so she cornrows the entire head. And then she put some oil in the hair. And when she put the oil in, she started seeing activity, animal activity. She had lice. And it's like 10 o'clock in the morning at this point, and I'm panicking. I'm like, I paid good money for these tickets, and I paid for this hotel, and if we can't go, I'm out all that money. So it's like, okay, so we get in the car, we go to CVS, we get some treatment products, we get to the house, I sit her down, I get some tweezers, I go through her hair, and I pick out every little thing I can see. Anything that's moving, I picked out. And then I took the solution that I got from CVS, this NYX solution, and it's basically you put it all over the scalp, all over the hair, and you let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you rinse it out, and then you shampoo the hair with just shampoo, no conditioner. And that's what we did. But except I let it sit a little bit longer because it can't hurt, right? So by the time I put it in and it sat, it ended up being probably 20-25 minutes. But we rinsed it out. We shampooed the hair. I checked the scalp again. I didn't see any activity. And it was like, okay. So by the time we got all that done and hit the road, it was about 3 o'clock. And I was pretty tired at this point because I didn't get much sleep Wednesday night, Christmas night. I didn't get much sleep Thursday night. I barely got any sleep Friday night. So I'm already tired. I'm tired. And I'm already stressed out from the other stuff that has gone on. Now, this is just an extra layer of stress, just trying to figure out how we're going to do this and still make the show. But we got it done. But I was just really tired on the drive. And then it was overcast and it started to rain, which made the drive a little bit harder because I'm tired and it's a little dark. And it's now starting to rain. So that made the drive harder. I was really tired on the drive. And I don't like driving in cities that I don't know. So when we're on the highway, everything was fine. But once we got into the city and there's all that city traffic, I've been in so many car accidents over the past 3 years that I have extreme anxiety when I drive now. Extreme anxiety every time I'm driving. And so I don't like driving in cities, and I don't like cars to be near me. I don't like changing lanes. I don't like doing all that stuff. I do it, but I get really anxious about it. But we get out there. I stop at this Chinese food joint, because originally I had planned to stop on the way there and grab like a quick takeout lunch, maybe like some McDonald's, some Chick-fil-A or something like that. And then I had planned to do like a sit down dinner, like leave the hotel at like 5:30, and go someplace, have a sit down dinner, because there were some places in the area, fast casual places we could sit down and get something to eat. And that was kind of the plan. And then we would go to the venue because the show started at 8. Well, by the time we got out there, it was like 4:30. And then it was like, there's no point in going to the hotel and then trying to come back out and get something to eat. Let's just find something. So I looked and there was a Chinese food spot. So we just popped in there. It took a minute to find it, but we found it. We got our food, we got to the hotel, we checked in, and at this point it's probably about 5:30. So we have an hour and a half to kind of relax, settle in, and before we have to go to the show. So we leave the hotel about 7:15-ish, because there's only a 15-minute ride from the hotel to the venue. And then we get there, of course, there's traffic everywhere, and I see a place to park. I see some VIP parking. Now, I had tried to get VIP parking for this venue, but for some reason, it was not available for purchase on that day. I don't know why. But I pull up anyway because there's a sign. It says $25 VIP parking, and the door to the venue is literally a 60-second walk away. And I'm like, well, that's going to be really close. And then, because it's like 7:30 at this point, and I wanted us to have time to, get a snack, get something to eat, use the restroom if we need to before, and then find our seats, and plenty of time before the show starts. So we get there, and so I go to pull into the VIP parking, and the lady is like, "Do you have a pass?" And I'm like, "I don't." I said, "I tried to go online and purchase a pass for today, and it was not available. It was not an option. It did not allow me to purchase a VIP parking pass for this specific day and showtime." And she was like, I was like, "But I can leave." And she was like, "Well, just go ahead and pay, and I'll let you park." And honestly, I think she did it because nobody's leaving at this point. Everybody's arriving. And so to make me leave, I'm already pulled up. So to make me leave, I would have had to circle the entire parking lot, come back around, and then exit. And I would have been the only person exiting because there was nobody leaving at this point. The show was just about to start. Everybody's arriving. So I think, honestly, it was just easier for her to just take my $25 and let me park there, which was a blessing. It was a blessing. So we parked. We go inside. We each get a pretzel. We each get a bottle of water. And I got a glass of wine. We make it to our seats. We sit down. We've got great seats. Show starts on time. The show was great. It was a great show. Fantastic. I had never seen it before, and that was by design. I didn't want to see it because every time in my life when I've gone to see a Broadway show, there was no internet. Like most of the shows that I got to see when I was a kid was through school and through like camps. Because since I was born and raised in New York, it was common, and I lived in, even though I was a poor kid, I lived in a pretty rich city in a pretty rich school district. There was literally only one high school in the city where I grew up. I grew up in White Plains, New York. There was only one public high school. So whether you were rich or poor, you all went to the same school. So we got treated pretty well. There were a lot of things to take advantage of. And a lot of the school trips would be trips to see a play. And plus I was involved. I've always been drawn to plays and musicals. Now, growing up where I grew up in elementary school, it was not optional. There was a school play every year. And I loved that about my upbringing. I wish that my kids had that. They do not. But from kindergarten through fourth grade, there was a school play every single year, and participation was mandatory. It was mandatory. You had to be in the school play, and I stinking loved it. I still remember some of the songs from the Cabbage Patch play that I did in third grade. Or was that fourth grade? It might have been fourth grade. Also in fourth grade, we did Macbeth. My teacher, the fourth grade class did Macbeth. And we were competing. We did really well, and we got to compete against the middle schoolers. And they beat us, but just barely. It was a fun time. I've just always loved the theater. And there were a lot of kids that did all the same stuff that I did, but they never wanted to continue it the way I did. So when I got to middle school, I continued that. Chorus, school play, middle school, high school, same thing. I was in the Cultural Horizons Choir, which did more church music and Afro-ethnic type of music. And then there was the performing arts choir, which did more Broadway, more opera. And then there was the bell choir, which, you did the little bells. I was in all that. Plus I was in the school play. So like I said, I've always been drawn to it. And so as a part of being in all of those clubs and choirs and stuff, a lot of times when they had trips, they would take us to see a play. So with my church camp, I got to see Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And with my high school, I got to see Phantom of the Opera and Les Miserables, right? Those are the three I can distinctly remember, but there were others as well. Weren't all musicals. Some were stage plays, but I just can't remember all of the names. But I've always loved it. And back then you didn't have internet, so when you went to see something, you went sight unseen and you got to experience it for the first time in real life. And I feel like that's something that we're missing today. Like, we don't get to experience things in real life. And I wanted to experience it in that way. So I deliberately made a decision to not watch anything. I didn't even listen to the soundtrack. Only knew just the ones you can't help but to hear, which is, They Call Me Alexander Hamilton, that one, and Wait For It, and maybe one other song, like the songs that are so popular that you just end up hearing them. But that was all by design. And even coming in cold, I absolutely loved the show. It was moving. It was emotional. It was great. It was fantastic. Fantastic. So by the time we got out of there, it was maybe 10:30, 11. But and then by the time we got back to the car and got back to the hotel, it's maybe 11 o'clock. And although I started out the day very tired, I was very much animated from the show. It gave me great hope and positivity and energy. And so I let my stepdaughter go to bed, and then I went down to the car to have me a little cigarette, whatever, and just to kind of hang out and let her sleep, and because we're in one room. And I just kind of hung out in the car for a while, about 2 hours, maybe till about 1 o'clock, 1:15. And then I go back to the room. And when I go back to the room, I'm getting ready to go to bed. I put on my night clothes. I'm getting ready to go to bed. And then my phone rings at 1:30, like 1:36 in the morning. And clearly it wasn't spam. It said a person's name, but it was a name that I did not know. But it was so unusual for my phone to ring at that time. And honestly, it was a miracle that I even saw it ringing, because my phone does not make sounds. I don't want my phone calling me. I don't want my phone saying, hey, look at me. Look at me, look at me. We spend enough time on our phone. So when I put it down, I don't need it calling me to look at it. So my phone stays silent. It does not make noise ever, except for when my alarm clock goes off in the morning. That is the only time my phone makes noise, period. And I answered the phone, and it was a paramedic telling me that my daughter was in a really, really bad car accident. And I was panicked, and I'm trying to talk to this lady, and I'm getting frustrated, and I'm like, well, can I just speak to my daughter? And so I needed to speak to her, and I could tell she was disoriented, and I could tell that she was scared. She was worried that she was blind. She was worried because she couldn't see at the time, and she didn't know what was going on, and she was very frightened, and I was very frightened because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if she was going to be blind. I didn't know how hurt she was, but they were taking her to the hospital. Now, I'm an hour and a half away. I've got a 13-year-old with me. And I really just did not know what to do. I did not feel like getting in the car at this point was the best way to go about things. So I called Adrian, and I'd let him know what was going on. And then he went down to the hospital because I couldn't be there. And, I just kind of stayed on the phone with him the entire time. And then when he finally reached her and he was able to talk to her and find out what happened with the accident, and that she was okay, that her vision was okay. It's just that she had really, really messed up her right eyelid, like really, really, really badly. She almost lost her eyelid, I guess. So I'm terrified. And I probably would have been able to handle it better if I wasn't already stressed out from the rest of the week, everything that had happened before, right? If this was like the sole thing, I probably would have been in a better place to handle it, but I was not. But we decided, it was like 4:30 in the morning, and like finally it's like, okay, I'm gonna lay down, I'm gonna get some sleep. I know she's okay, I know you're with her, you're gonna stay with her, I'm gonna get some sleep. And then in the morning I got my stepdaughter up and we packed and we left. Now I didn't even take a shower because I'm just trying to hold it in. I'm trying to hold everything in because I felt like if I let a single tear go, that there was going to be a tsunami and I wasn't going to be able to stop it. And I felt like if I got in the shower and that warm water hit me, it was just all going to unleash and I wasn't going to be able to control it anymore. So that entire car ride, it was just me trying my best not to shed a tear. It was friggin' horrible because I didn't want that 13-year-old child to see me break down like that. It's one thing for a kid to see you cry, right? That's normal. People cry. But to break down, to just completely lose it, it was just not something that she needed to see. So I'm trying to head to the hospital. And I got like 20 minutes away from the hospital and Adrian called and he was like, hey, they're transferring her from that hospital. They don't have the facilities and the equipment to do the surgery that she requires. So they're going to transfer her to Duke. So instead of going to the hospital, just come home to drop off, my stepdaughter, his daughter, and then we will go to the hospital together. And that's what we did. And we got there and we stayed with her and made sure she was okay. And they did her surgery. And by the time she got out of recovery, it was like, by the time she got out of recovery, it was late and they wanted her to stay the night. And I was like, no, because everybody said she would be able to be discharged that day. And the only reason they weren't going to discharge her was because it was late. And they didn't want to. It was going to be more work for them to discharge her that late because they don't normally discharge people at, 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, I'm sorry to be a bother, but unless there's a medically necessary reason, unless it's medically necessary for her to stay, then I'm going to need you to let her go. A, it's not free. And B, I'm going to have to go home. I can't stay here with her. And if she has to stay here by herself after having this traumatic incident, she's going to start to spiral. She's going to be alone. She's going to start to cry. She's going to feel bad. She's going to start to get depressed. We need to go home. And because I know what's going to happen, right? As soon as the doctors roll in at 5 o'clock in the morning, they're going to go discharge her. 5 o'clock in the morning. So what is the difference between you discharging her at 10 p.m. versus 5 a.m.? None. There's no difference. So, they had to jump through some hoops, but, they got us out of there. And, but yeah, so the surgery was successful. They had to do a little skin graft. They had to take some skin from her temple to replace the skin she lost on her eye. But, like I said, the surgery was successful and she does still have her vision and, now we did have a couple hiccups. We thought the eye was infected yesterday. And so, we were running around with that. We had an appointment this morning, so that the surgeon who did the surgery could look at her eye. Cause you can't be trusted in urgent care with things like this. And, but everything was good. Everything was good with the eye. We thought it was infected, but it wasn't, which was a blessing. So, We have a follow-up appointment next week. And yeah, so it's been rough. I think I'm not complaining because this could have been a lot worse. I know I've been kind of withdrawn ever since it happened. New Year's Eve, I had plans for New Year's Eve. I was supposed to join the Greenland quilter, Katie. I was supposed to join her live stream, but I couldn't because I just found myself unable to pretend to be happy. I couldn't do it. And then my sister also invited Adrian and I over to her house because Adrian and her husband get along really well. And I told him to go without me because I didn't want to go because I couldn't. I just did not have the energy to fake happiness, and I didn't feel genuine happiness in that moment. So I let him go on, and I just stayed home. I just stayed home and watched YouTube videos. Actually, I watched Hallmark Christmas movies. That's what I did to cheer myself up. I watched, I think, 3 Hallmark movies. I watched Meet Me Next Christmas. I watched Christmas Island. And I can't remember the third one. But that's how I spent my New Year's Eve, watching Christmas movies. Because they're fluff. They pretty much all have the same general story plot line. And they don't require much brain power. And that was how I spent my Christmas Eve. I know that I'm very grateful that things worked out well, that things were not worse. She could have lost her life in that accident. She was extremely fortunate. She could have lost a limb in that accident. She was extremely fortunate. But even knowing that, I still haven't quite gotten past it yet. So that's been me over here. So yeah, basically from Christmas Day to New Year's Day just sucked. Just absolutely sucked ass. But we are bounding back. And that's why I'm kind of enjoying this declutter challenge, because it gives me something else to do, something else to think about, something else to focus on. And I think it's also why I started sewing. It's the first time I've sewn. I think when I did the block, I think that today's Friday. So yeah, I think I did that on Wednesday, on Christmas Day. It was the first time I had sewn in like weeks, because I just needed the rhythm of the machine, and just the rhythm of just not the rhythm, but what's that word? The monotony of just, because my units are already cut. So I'm literally just feeding them under the sheen. And there's just a rhythm to that, and a calmness to that. And so I think I'm going to do a little bit more of that today. I would like to get all of those pieces run through the machine this weekend. I'm not trying to get the whole quilt done. I would like to get those pieces run through the machine this weekend. Is what I would like to do. I also would like to get to Joann's this weekend, I think I would. Actually, no, I might just wait and do that next week when I go to work, because I literally have to pass the Joann's exit on my way home from work. So I think I might do that next week. Yeah. There's no point in riding all the way out there when I'm going to be out there again next week. But maybe I'll change my mind. No, I'll probably do it after work, because if I go on a weekend, I'm going to start shopping in there. I'm going to start shopping, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to start shopping. I don't want to start shopping. But if I go after work, I'll be in a rush because I'll want to get out of there before the traffic hits. So I think I'll wait. But yeah, I do want to get those pieces run through the machine, and if I can get another block made, that would be great. But I'm really not optimistic about it. I think once I get those pieces run through the machine, I'd like to also get them pressed. And then I would like to work on this project from the Open Gate Quilt subscription box. I'd like to work on getting that fabric pressed and cut. So those are my weekend goals. And also to continue with the declutter challenge. So that's me, guys. This video has been a bit long. I do apologize if it was a damn drag, because the first 10 minutes was crafty and the rest of it was just me moaning about my life. Woe is me. But yeah, that's it for me. And I'll see you guys next video, and hopefully it will be much better. I'm hoping to have a better week. It's 2025, and I'm hoping that my 2025 is drastically better than the last week of my 2024. Yeah, so that's it for me, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next video.